Hello, everyone out in Lotus Chat Worldwide World. Thank you, community, for joining us again for our next episode of Lotus Chat Worldwide, episode 80. Wow.
Wow. Woo.
Yes.
80.
Energy givers and energy takers is our topic today. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We do hope that you continue to join us on this journey. You can
Mhm.
find us on Spotify and YouTube. So definitely check us out under Lotus Chat Worldwide. And so, speaking of our topic, today we have Zian with us.
Mhm. Hi,
And
everyone.
what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to talk about energy givers and energy takers. And the reason
Mm,
why we decided to discuss this topic is because I feel that having that open discussion with all of you guys about like certain things that can give to our energy and certain things that may take from our energy, how do we allow more of the good stuff in and put a healthy boundary on those things that do deplete our energy or take away from things that can actually give us more, I would say, life and more joy and more peace, which are those energy givers. So, Deanne, let's go ahead and just get into what
mm.
are some of the things that can be energy givers for all of us in general.
I think energy givers, now we're talking about people, right? So I think energy givers for me is when I hang out with certain people, I feel inspired, I feel heard, I feel seen, and I also feel like we are pretty much on like a equal path, like I feel like we're sharing on things. They're interested to talk and they're also interested to listen and get to know me better. So it's a bit of a balance. So when you talk about energy givers, I think about my friend, one of my bestie, goldfish, and she lives in LA, and we talk every 2 weeks, and she's definitely one of the people in my life that's an energy giver. Every time I talk to her, I feel so inspired, even though we don't usually just talk about inspirational stuff, but also sharing about our deep thoughts and things that we struggle with. But she's definitely an energy giver for me. And
Oh,
what about you?
I love that you started us off really nicely with explaining that meaningful relationships can be those energy givers. And
Mm,
those type of energies that come from people who, like
mm,
you said, can be inspiring, can give us that sense of like support, that
mm,
sense of love that we can get. And I would say another energy giver for me, aside from meaningful relationships, as you said, Zian, is just being in nature. I've
Big
found
nature. Wow, I like that.
her. And I have found that when I'm out there in the outdoors surrounded by, just trees and
Mm,
just being able to just sit a moment in it or even walk around in it, like a garden, for example, it just gives me so much life. Like I feel like it just gives me that energy to just want to continue my day with a smile
mm,
on my face because I'm like, my God, like everything around me is so beautiful. Like being able to be surrounded by this nature is just
mm,
inspiring. So if
mm.
you guys get out there in nature and feel it, if you even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes and just breathe it in and allow yourself to be in that moment, my gosh, I can just say that you're gonna come back feeling rejuvenated. And that's one of the
Mm.
big things for me.
That's
Um,
lovely. And I think, and I do want to add on to that, I think energy giver moments is something that we can also create rather than waiting for it to happen. So for me, like time, just experiencing time and just really letting time just flow by without thinking too much about the past or the future, but just really like being in that present moment. To me, that's also a way of creating energy, doing things that you like, enjoying time, just take a slow breather in the morning. That to me is like a nice energy giver to kickstart your day or your week.
Yes, yeah, and that's the other thing when we talk about like being in the present moment and
Mm,
being allowing the time to just flow. Like you said, you in that morning moment of having that first cup of coffee or
yeah.
picking up that journal or that book that really
Mm,
just allows you to
mm,
get away from like the everyday, those can be things that can give you that energy. Another one, for those of you out there who love getting creative, I find creativity to be very much an energy giver because
Yes,
when I'm in,
totally.
right, when you're inspired, when your hands are inspired, when your mind
Mm,
is inspired by something,
mm,
and you're like, just have to pick up that paintbrush or that, sketchbook or that instrument, whatever it is, and you're like, I need to create something, and you get really into it where time
mm.
just flies. If you guys have ever done that where you're just sitting there and all of a sudden it's like 3 hours later and you're like, where'd the time go? Because you're
Yeah.
so into something. That is an energy giver, something that can just make you feel like in the zone, and you just love doing it where you even lose track of time.
Mm,
So
mm.
one that I wanted to bring out there. Is there, I mean, any other ones that come to mind, Zian, that kind of give you that energy boost?
No, I think you pretty much sum it all.
So we just talked about a few because of course there are other things that can be energy givers, like words of gratitude, for example, positive
Mm.
self-talk. You can even decluttering. I find sometimes
Yeah,
decluttering,
decluttering is so good.
right? It gets you in the mood, and then you're like, I feel so good being in a clean, organized space. I mean,
Yes,
the other too, it could be dancing for those of you out there who like to get physical and get moving.
yeah,
That type of stuff. I know when I am in a room and I just want to start dancing, or I hear a
yeah.
song and I just want to do that, it really does give me that energy boost. But
And
aside
I,
from those,
yeah,
oh,
and
go
I
ahead.
also think that the exploration of something new is also a form of energy giver. Like, you know how we are creatures of habits. So, like if you try something new, you do something different. I think over the weekend, I explored this new place that I kind of thought my kids wouldn't like, but surprisingly they did. We went to like a bookstore, we went to like an immersive art exhibition, and that was really nice, like the exploration of something new.
Ooh, I love that you ended this section really nicely with saying trying something new can actually give you that boost, because
Mm,
it's like the exploration, the adventure, trying something that you're like a little maybe even nervous about, but you're like, it ends up working out beautifully because you're like, wow, I'm so glad I took a chance on that, or I'm so glad that I, decided to try that new activity. So speaking of trying something new, now we're going to move into the other side of the
mm,
spectrum, is those things that can actually take from your energy, the complete opposite of everything that we said, which are those things that can make you feel drained energetically, tired, maybe even stressed, nervous, anxious. I'm
mm.
even going to put in the word pressured, because when you
Yeah.
feel pressured, that too can definitely deplete your energy. So Zian, what are some things that you feel are things that can take from your energy?
Actually, it's cliche as this may sound, I am my own energy giver, but I also feel that I'm my own energy taker. So for me, when I overschedule myself, I'm definitely an energy taker. And it's so strange because I go like, yes, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. I'll put like 4 appointments in a day. By the end of the day, I'm so like depleted. I was like, why did I do that and torture myself? I'll be running from A to B, trying to get from point A to point B, and it's just not working out. So to me, I think having a balance, like a not overly crowded but not too relaxed, just a nice balance is a good way and not suck up all that energy for the day.
That is such a great way to really explain how sometimes energy takers can come from the self,
Mm,
from allowing oneself to be both, right? And I think that really figures nicely into what I was thinking when I thought about energy takers, which is overthinking,
mm,
overthinking and anxious thinking. And the reason why I feel that can take away from our energy is because it takes us away from the present, and it
mm,
can take away from really being at peace with what is currently happening with you in the present moment. As in, for example, if I am anxious about something all the time and I can't sleep, what is it taking from me? It's taking from me that present moment of peace that I can get through sleep, because
mm.
I'm not allowing my body to rest. I'm not allowing my mind to rest. I can even like allow the overthinking to go throughout my day, where I start getting distracted by it so much where it doesn't allow me to even work or
Yeah.
to even think of anything else. So I feel that those type of thought processes that sometimes kind of get muddled in the mind can really make us feel exhausted to a point because you're like, I haven't slept in a couple of days because I'm worried about XYZ. That's when we have to take ourselves out. And as we explained in the beginning part of this episode, and try to find ways that we can deal with these energy takers and whatnot in a
Yes.
healthy way. And I'm even going to put, and I will say this, that sometimes some of us out there may think that there are energies coming from people that
Yes,
can.
totally. I was about to ask you that.
Yes, and I'm gonna put
Mm,
it out there now. I know some of us may not admit that certain people in our lives can actually take from our energy because either they might be asking more than we can give in the moment,
yep.
or they may be a little bit more controlling, or whatever it is that they are in that state in relationship. That can cause us to feel like we are depleting our own energy because we're giving so much to other people.
Yeah.
And
And you know that feeling that you feel so overwhelmed after a conversation with someone? And I
yeah.
think what's I'll be interested to hear your perspective is what happens when these people are people that you regularly see, but then you don't have a choice not to see them. For example, your colleagues, your bosses, your your loved ones. What do you do when they are important people in your life, but they're energy takers?
Zian, you asked a very important and very, I would say, tough question that not many of us feel comfortable answering, because I feel like in those states, in those circumstances, we of
Hmm.
course want to create healthy boundaries in all areas of life, work, personal, family, whatnot. But we want to do it in such a way where we're not necessarily making the other person feel ostracized, feel like they're being pushed away, like
Mm.
away from me, I want nothing to do with you type of energy. And in the
Yep.
personal space, of course, if you have a boss or a coworker or whatnot who is asking too much of you, how do you approach that boss or coworker and say, I am feeling a little bit XYZ right now about, all these tasks. How do you want me to work through these? I need you to tell me what is important. That's usually how I start a conversation if I'm feeling overwhelmed by certain tasks.
Mm. Mm.
I say, I've been meaning to have a discussion with you because I have all these things right now, including the stuff that you just put on my plate. Which of these is a priority? Because I'm going to get to those first, but you tell me what's the priority. And that is a very important discussion you need to have with not just your bosses, but let's say you have a friend who's
Yeah.
always coming to you for whatever XYZ, and you are needing to kind of set aside something important, right? That you're
Mm.
working to help said friend. What do? Well, you just tell the friend, look, right now I'm taking care of this right now. I will be there as soon as I can, or I will call you in 10 minutes, whatever it is. I think we all need to, if unless it's an emergency, of course, because in emergencies, it's like drop everything, all hands on deck. We need to take care of this emergency. But if it's not, you give yourself the time to finish XYZ, and then you definitely tell that person, I care about you and I will be right back in a couple minutes. I will help you out. I will
Mm.
support, right?
Mm.
Because Zian, it comes down to the definition of support.
Mm.
And I've heard many people say, sometimes you have to, what is the famous line that I've heard even my family tell me? Put your oxygen mask on first so that you can help other people, right?
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think about the whole thing, like related to support and this whole topic?
Oh, well, I used to have a dear friend. Why I say I used to, because we haven't kept in touch for so long, but she's a really like a dear childhood friend, but then she's definitely an energy taker. Every time I see her, she has this pessimistic outlook in life, and she's very realistic, but also in a very gloomy kind of way. And but I'm always more of the the positive, the happy side kind of girl. So every time I notice myself after like hanging out with her, I would feel so tired, and I feel that my energy is depleted and it's not there anymore. So sadly to say, I kind of limit myself from seeing her as much, and then gradually we just haven't kept in touch for like years. So might not be the best way, but then I do think that when there are people in your life who are energy takers, we kind of have to be mindful. I guess we don't have to keep in touch with everyone we know since we're young, but then, yeah, we just have to be mindful that they're probably not at that right phase at this time, and you're not at the right phase to give them the support as well. So hence, maybe a little bit of break, and then maybe a couple of years down the road, you will come back together.
I like that you discussed those conversations with somebody that sometimes leave you a bit drained. And I like that you mentioned like friends, right? I think it's such an it's so interesting that we have these, certain relationships where when you're around somebody who is like in the same kind of vibration as you, and it just seems like it really does give you that inspiration, that energy, that drive.
Mm,
They're the you guys kind of meet, each other at the same, frequency.
yeah.
Sometimes though, we have friends who are in a different frequency with us, and it does not mean that it makes them, any which way. It just means that, like you said, Zian, it's like there's a little bit of a frequency difference. And when you come out of those conversations, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, like I know I want to help her or him
Mm,
through
mm,
this, but it seems as though I'm not necessarily getting through, or it seems as though they may need a little bit more support than I can offer them at this time.
yeah.
But say, I will be there for you. But just know that if we're going to have the same conversation over and over again, it's going to get to a point where I'm going to say, the answers because we've discussed this before.
Mm,
It's just a matter of you being in a state of awareness, and it's going to take time. Yes, I'm here for you. But if we're going to have that same discussion again, just
mm.
know I'm going to tell you the same thing. You already know what you need to do.
Mm,
And I think that's when the conversation you can shift the frequency a bit versus like feeling like, oh, I need to just like, ooh, I need to get myself away from this like quick because it's starting to make me feel a bit tired because
mm,
this person is pessimistic, or this person isn't, necessarily getting what I'm trying to help them through.
mm, mm.
But again, it's all meet somebody where they're at. And that is what I've been told. And in time, you can say, look, I'm here, I'm here for you, but I would love for you to try this out. Just try it out and see where it goes, right? Here, this is my advice. And in the end, we can only give our friends advice, and we cannot, hand hold them through it because
Yes.
they have to see themselves through it. So that is what I'm going to end with that particular topic. Great question. And I love that you brought this together so nicely, talking about not just the energy givers that can be like external things, but even relationships that can
Yes.
be both. And moving forward, guys, if any of this resonated with you, if you are dealing with, an energy taker type of situation, or you are really excited about something that's inspired you, that's giving you that energy, we would love to hear from you down in the comment section below, because again, we want to learn about you guys. We want to hear what you guys like to hear so that we can discuss it. So if there's a topic that you really would like to get some advice on, Zian and I are here. So
Yes, or you can email us at LotusChatWorldwide@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like what you're hearing, click follow and subscribe to our YouTube and Spotify channels. And I guess I'd like to close with, if you want to receive positive energy, be the person that gives out great energy too. All right, signing off. Bye.